Vocal processing is what can bring average vocals to sound like pro vocals. But you know that feeling when you keep adding compression to the vocals, reverbs, delays, saturation, and still your vocals don't sound interesting enough? Well, I can definitely relate to that feeling because it happened to me so many times, especially when working with vocals from singers that maybe sing technically good, but they don't have a special or unique sound. And that includes when I'm working with my own vocals because I'm not a pro singer. So I had to find ways, tricks, and one of the tricks that I've learned throughout my career is layering the lead vocals with some other interesting layers. That could be something like double vocals, shifted vocals, vocoders, Talkbox, Harmonies, stuff like that. Well, good news, there's a new plugin that I've been testing for the past week. It just came out. It's called Humanoid by Baby Audio, and this is definitely going to help you in making your vocals sound more interesting and stand out in your songs. So of course, when I say vocoders, robotic vocals, the first thing you think of are Daft Punk. But I wanted to try this plugin on different genres, so I tried it on 3 different beats that I was working on. One, which is definitely disco and like Daft Punk influence, but when I tried this plugin, I immediately thought of techno, tech house as well. Those are genres where robotic vocals have become huge in the past few years. And finally, I also tested it on a UK garage beat that I was working on. So let's start from the disco Daft Punk influence beat where I will be singing. So I'm gonna show you where my vocals are lacking, how we can make them more interesting with this plugin. Okay, so this is what I have, but I'm gonna show you where I started from. Just promise me you won't laugh because there's no lyrics. It's just me singing gibberish here. So these are the melody ideas that I had for this beat. After singing, I was listening back and I was like, okay, like it sounds good, but like my vocal tone is not that special. It's not like unique. It's not that rich. Like I'm not a pro singer. So I need to do something to like help these vocals stand out a little bit more. And so I started from the very basic vocoder approach where I'm gonna make my vocals sing the chords of the song. That's the simplest technique that you can try to enrich your vocals. Even if you keep it at very low volume, it's always effective. I put Humanoid on the track. This left section, the pitch section, basically determines the way you want to use the plugin. In this case, I wanted to use this in MIDI mode. MIDI mode basically acts like a vocoder. You feed MIDI into the plugin takes in the MIDI and plays the chords of the song with your vocals. And to do this very easy, you're just gonna have to create a MIDI track, which I have right here. I use the MIDI of the song. This purple one is exactly the same. And then once you have this in Ableton, at least, you can send this MIDI. I'm gonna send this MIDI in a track called Vocoder, which is this one. And you can see this is gonna go inside Humanoid. So now Humanoid is getting the MIDI, and this is how it sounds. And if you listen to this together with the lead vocals, it's definitely helping enriching them. Yeah. So what is happening inside the plugin? I have a control which is affecting how robotic I want this effect, and I want it super robotic in this case. And then I have a control on the Formant. The Formant is just the parameter that you've seen in countless other plugins like Little Alter Boy and stuff like that, but it's very handy to have this in a vocoder. I can make it sound more like this, and if you click on this gear icon, you can see that some of these parameters have this gear icon. If you click on it, you have more controls. But what you're hearing is not only coming from this module right here, it's also coming from this central module, which is basically the main thing about this plugin. So after you chose how you want to use this plugin, if you want to use it in MIDI mode, in note mode, where you just basically set a note from here and it's going to always sing that note, or if you want to use it in scale mode, where you can like tune the vocals and still apply some Formant shifting. Once you know this, the synthesize section is going to become important, because this is where you're going to decide if you want to go for something robotic, how robotic you want it to sound, if you want to go up an octave, if you want to go down an octave, if you want to just, I don't know, sing some harmonies. And I'm going to show you all of this because that's what I did in these other tracks. For this specific one, I just wanted this vocoder to also have a little bit of that higher octave. And this is the control for this. If I put it back to 0, you have a very basic vocoder in the same octave of the MIDI that you're feeding. But you can also have the higher octave. It's like feeding the MIDI in an octave and also a little bit from the higher octave, and it's a blend of the two. So this is very interesting because sometimes this can help making the vocoder a little bit more clear. This is one of the problems that I always had with vocoders. Sometimes like they were not clear enough, not clean and not clear. I could also go from like plus 12 here and look at this. So you can have also a combination of these two things, which is pretty cool. But in this case, I don't want to do this. And with this knob, the transform knob, you determine how much of the synth, how much of this wave is going into the signal. Until basically you don't even have the original vocals anymore, you know? So you want to find the good balance here. And you have so many options here with like the waveforms that you can apply. They all sound a little bit different. And if you put it back to 0, you have like a darker sound, not as clear. So it depends what you're going for, you know? In this case, I wanted to have a little bit of this. And here, of course, on the right, you have a little bit of like filtering, EQing, and then you have some effects here on the right, especially the widen is going to be pretty useful. You can think of this as a chorus because it sounds a lot like a chorus. Without it, everything is in the middle. This is very cool. And then you have a bunch of controls right here. So you have sharpening, which I don't really know how to explain. I just go to taste, to be honest. This is 0. This is 100. And then I found pretty useful to mix this synthesize module and not keep it at 100%. Like I almost never kept it at 100% on all of these tracks. You gotta find the sweet spot. So this vocoder is definitely helping, you know? So one premise that I want to make about this plugin is that when you first open it, everything kind of looks familiar, and it's a good thing. And the reason for this is because it has controls that we've seen before. It has some pitch correction controls. We have de-essing, synthesis, which you've probably seen in like vocoders and stuff like that. Filters, EQ, effects such as widening. So all this to say that this plugin is not here to replace the auto-tune or like the waves tune with this pitch module. It's not here to replace like a chorus plugin or like EQ, filtering, or other vocoder plugins. The cool thing about this to me is that they took the best features of plugins such as autotune, little alter boy, vocoders, and they put them all together in a single plugin, but doing each one of these things slightly differently. For example, you can tune vocals with this scale mode, but it's gonna tune vocals in a slightly more robotic way, which could be a cool way of tuning your vocals and give them like a new character, different than the character that you would have with an auto-tune. Same thing goes for like the form and shifting. We have other plugins out there doing this, but this is coupled with this robotic effect. So it's not only shifting the formant, but it's doing it in a cool way, adding some robotic texture. So I feel like Humanoid is not here to replace any of these plugins, but it's just here to take some of their best features and put them all in one to give your vocals just an interesting twist. The next thing that I thought of was, okay, but I can't just have the vocoder play throughout the whole song. Like maybe in the chorus, yes, it can work, but not for the verses. And I wasn't really happy about how my vocals were sounding in this verse right here. I think tonight something in the sky. Nah. So I was thinking of Daft Punk, and the first thing that came to mind is they were singing through a Talkbox. And you can get this sort of like effect also with this plugin. And so that's what I did for the verse. So much better. Come on. Yeah. Come on. This sounds cool, like immediately cool. Let's say I want to send this demo to someone and I'm not happy about my vocals in the verse. I'm gonna send it like this. And it's already also a production idea, you know, maybe it's something that can be kept in the future. I don't know. How did I do this? Pretty simple. Still used it in MIDI, but the interesting thing is that this time I'm not feeding chords. I'm feeding the actual notes that I was singing with my voice. So let me explain a little bit better. I took this audio track where I was already singing the right notes. Then I did convert melody to new MIDI track. I could have just played it, but you know, this was faster. And now I have the MIDI of the notes that I was singing. I dragged this MIDI down and yeah, that's how I got it. And then it was just about finding a cool preset to start from. And in this case, I started from this one, Machine Whispers. Most of this sound is coming only from this pitch module. This is only at 30%. And even if I put it back to 0, listen to this sound. I love how I can understand the words, like it's super clear. That's also why in this section I was trying to enunciate a few words really well, because I wanted to test this and hear if it was really clear like I was expecting, and it is. I can definitely understand what I'm saying. Then I introduced a little bit of this synthesized module, but not a lot, like 30%. The reason why I introduced this is because here, going up an octave brought clarity to the sound, and then bringing this lower octave in gave me more body. And so now it sounds like this. I think tonight, something in the sky that reminds me of it all again. Now you can actually hear what's happening, right? But I didn't need all of this. Wow. Something in the sky that reminds me of it all again. Okay, so in the chorus, I basically did the same thing again, but this time I wanted to create some harmonies. Let's say that you're working with a singer that maybe has sent you a lead vocal. You also need harmonies, but they haven't sent you any harmonies. Or maybe you're working with vocals from Splice, where you have like a lead vocal, but you don't have harmonies. So this is a good way you can obtain harmonies. I did the same thing. I used this in MIDI mode and feeding the MIDI into the plugin. And this MIDI is basically singing a harmony to the lead vocal. And I wanted the harmonies only on these notes. Without you. Okay, I wanted to have without you. I just did it with the MIDI. And now we have this. Without you, okay, and then again. One more idea that I had was supporting the chords, which are coming from this electric piano right here. So I thought, okay, let me sing something very simple, like a vowel, like a who. And after singing this, I once again fed chords to this. So we have this, you know, pretty cool. And finally, with this ooh thing, I also created some sort of lead. But this time to do this, I used a different method that we haven't seen yet. I haven't used this in MIDI mode this time. I used this in note mode. So what this means is that you can pick a note. I picked the E in this case, and this is gonna only play the E unless you automate this, which is exactly what I did here. So I wanted to create some sort of counter melody. I started from the G note and then I automated in a way so that it played the notes that I wanted. It starts from the G, goes down to the E, back to the G, D, and C. You can just basically do this by automating the parameters here. You can also open this if it's easier to see. You can just move this around and you can see that, you know, it's changing the note. So depending on which note you want, you can also build harmonies or counter melodies out of this. And to have this sound, I just put the Formant all the way up, 85% of this synthesized module plus 12 with the note shift. So now it sounds like this, super wide. It kind of helps that main melody, you know, that we have from the lead vocals. Okay, so this is what I did on the disco-inspired beat, but I also tried this on an electronic beat and on a UK garage beat. So let's see those two real quick because I used it in a slightly different way. So if you're liking the plugin so far and you're thinking about buying it, make sure to click the link in the description and then use my code badhabit at checkout for an additional discount. And if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe because we're so close to 20,000 subscribers. So make sure you jump on on board, you don't want to miss out. Okay, so totally different vibe. Get ready for this. I made this beat on purpose because I wanted to try this plugin on something like this. I found this splice vocal, which is, I don't know, pretty terrible to me. But just to give you an idea, because these are the vocals that are really trending right now in this genre of music, let's just listen through it and then we're gonna apply the plugin.
Voltage surges, cosmic urges, electronic universe.
What?
Lock your belt.
Okay.
Let's fly high. In this moment, we're into the unknown.
Ooh. I mean, I kind of like the beat, to be honest. So this is what I have, and I wanted to go for those vocals like, you know, Afterlife, that kind of thing, which is usually robotic vocals. So of course I had to try humanoid. I wanted to make this vocal definitely Formant shifted up because that's a thing in this genre. So this time I put it directly on the track. I don't want to layer it and keep the original vocal. And that's why this time we're going to use it in scale mode. E major, which is the key of the song, quantize all the way up because I want this tuning to be like very hard, very robotic, and then the Formant plus 40. So we have this.
Voltage surges, cosmic urges,
and
electronic.
We're already getting pretty close to what I have in mind, but remember that at the moment the synthesize module is at 0, so you're not hearing anything coming from here. But I wanted this to be like richer and feel like more robotic. And then I was thinking, okay, but what about having a little bit of that lower octave? And so I started bringing it in.
Voltage surges, cosmic urges.
And I love this because the blend of the lower octave and the original one creates this very like robotic effect.
Voltage surges, cosmic
It's
urges,
almost like scary, you know?
electronic universe.
And then I also started playing with the note shift since she's basically talking. She's not really like singing notes, and I found +7 to be the sweet spot for what I wanted.
Voltage surges, cosmic urges,
Amazing.
electronic universe.
Wow. And then I just added some effects, you know, like a vintage verb and Valhalla delay.
Voltage surges, cosmic urges,
Yeah.
electronic universe.
So you've probably noticed that we have this freeze button right here. If you press it, the moment you press it, it's gonna freeze whatever it's playing. I was trying to get the word universe to be frozen. It's gonna create some sort of like weird effects, and then you can play with the buffer and have something like this. Yeah, which is super cool. And again, in this genre of music, this effect is big. I was able to do it. This is what I got. Yeah. That's it for this beat. Let's move on to the last one. I've been working on this UK garage beat that sounds like this. Oh, I love UK Garage, man. I love it. And as soon as I tried Humanoid, I thought of this beat because I wanted to try to have some sort of like Pink Pantress vocals. Pink Pantress has a very unique tone. It almost sounds like her vocals are Formant shifted up. I don't think they are. I think it's just her voice, which is unique. So I started from this vocal and it sounds like this. Which is pretty cool already. I just duplicated the track, I put Humanoid on it, and again, I used it in the scale mode because in this case, I wanted to keep this original melody that she's singing. I set the scale to B minor, quantize is pretty high, robotify 40%, but then the Formant shifting plus 55. And so I have something like this now. Yeah. What's special about this sound, not only the Formant shifting, but also what we're doing here in the synthesize module, because you can see it's set at 100%. If I just put it back to 0, it sounds pretty cool already, but the vocals sound a little bit thin. So again, I use this module to make them sound richer and fuller. I went -70 with this. You can hear it, right? So without it, with it. Yeah, it makes it a little bit more robotic, but also like richer, which is what I was going for. And then I use this note shift. So in this case, I didn't want to create any harmonies. I just wanted to create, you know, the higher octave to enhance that Formant shifting. Yeah, not much chorus here. And then I think, yes, I also use the dry wet, which is a little bit hidden. So I haven't showed you this before. If you click this gear icon, you can also see the dry wet and the input gain. This is pretty important because you might find yourself wanting to blend the original vocals with the affected vocals. And that's what I was trying to do here. You know, if I went 100%, it would sound like this, which would be like super fake. This makes it more realistic. I also tried to layer this together with the original vocals. I put it at -6.5 in this section where they play together. Very nice. So this is also another option you have. And then finally here, I also tried to go for like a full robotic effect. I tuned it super hard, Robotify maximum, Formant -24, and we have this. Which is also pretty sick. And one thing that I encourage you to play with is if you bring down the Formant, try to play with the higher octave here, or also with the note shift. This could be a good combination to obtain interesting effects, you know, because like if you go down with the Formant, down with the note shift, and down with the octave, it may all sound too dark, you know. And same thing, if you go all the way up with the Formant, up with the note shift, up with the octave, then it might sound too thin. So a good combination I found to be like, in this case, I'm going slightly down with the Formant. Okay, I'm compensating a little bit, bringing out the higher octave. There's countless ways you can use this plugin. I also used it finally to build a little harmony just by going -3 here on the note shift. So basically what's going to happen is that these notes that she's singing, this is going to bring it down by 3 semitones. And so when they play together, they sound like this. These are just some of the use cases that I found to be very useful for the music that I make. So of course it depends what you're going for, but as I showed you, there are so many ways you can make your vocals sound more interesting. And the thing that I like the most about this plugin is that they're not trying to copy anything. They just made a plugin that's going to be a very nice addition with a slightly different approach to all of these other plugins that have these features that we see in Humanoid. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you learned something. From now on, you're not going to have boring vocals anymore. Now make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.